welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Team Albers Daily. Joining me this week is American racing driver Hannah Grisham. We caught up recently to chat about how she got into motorsport to begin with, how 2021 is going for her, how it feels to be a two-time national champion, and much, much more. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Hannah, thank you for being here today. First of all, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. So, the first question I like to ask everyone who comes on here, what got you into motorsport to begin with?
So my dad got me into motorsports. My dad grew up riding and racing motorcycles and did a lot of like Baja 1000 type of stuff. He's actually won it on a motorcycle. So then when I was growing up as a kid, I kind of showed an interest for some of his racing. So when I was 6, he got me a go-kart for my birthday, and that was pretty much it.
The rest is history.
Yeah, pretty much.
What have you been doing in 2021 racing-wise, and how is it going for you?
So this year I started out racing MX5 Cup at Daytona with IMSA. And then the rest of the year, I've been racing in WRL, which is like an endurance series in a Porsche Boxster.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I've been doing this year. It's been going pretty well. We've had some bad luck in the WRL series, but I think we're sitting third in the national championship. And
not too bad then.
We have 2 races left. So not too bad considering all things that have kind of happened. But yeah, it's been really great.
So at least you can blame it on the bad luck rather than anything specifically. So it's kind of
that's always
kind of a bit of a way to soften the blow a bit. And you were 2019 Spec Miata and TMC champion. For those who don't know much about that, tell us a bit more about it and how it felt to become champion.
Spec Miata is, I guess probably pretty big around most parts of the world. It's a pretty competitive series. There's a lot of entries and it's super close racing, really big momentum cars. So it's not really about how much speed you have, but just kind of, your actual skills and keeping your speed up in the turns and whatnot. But yeah, I raced Spec Miata for, I guess, 4 or 5 years. And in 2019, I won the championship, which was really nice. That was my 3rd or 4th year in the platform. So it was kind of nice to get that championship under my belt and also my first sports car championship. So yeah, it was a really great feeling.
Summits after a couple of years there.
Yeah, it was great.
So then you were also champion again last year. Was that kind of like icing on the cake, or was it different to winning in 2019 or in any way, or?
I think it's good just to kind of, win again and then just kind of reassure, I guess, that everything I did the year prior, it wasn't just like a luck thing, that it actually was my driving. So yeah, it was really good again. Never bad to win a championship.
No. Do you have a preference then? Do you think last year was more satisfying because you say it proves that it wasn't just a one-off thing, or was it just that feeling in 2019 of you've been there a few years and finally you got to the top?
Yeah, I think the first year was probably the most satisfying just because it's like, the first championship is always the most exciting. And there was some pretty close battles that year too, as well, between me and a couple other drivers. So I think overall it was super competitive, and just the satisfaction of being able to come out on top was really great.
So then you're also a test driver. What is it like being a test driver?
Yeah, so I'm a test driver for Pirelli North America, and I started that about a year ago, and that's actually why I moved to the East Coast, was for that. It's been really great. I think it helps in a lot of ways. It definitely helps my vehicle dynamics skills, I think, just learning, the ins and outs of the industry and more in depth of, vehicle dynamics and handling all those things. But it's been a really great experience. It's definitely been difficult because it's definitely a different side compared to racing. You really have to get into detail about exactly how things are handling and whatnot. But overall, it's been a really great experience, and I really like working for Pirelli, so nothing to complain about.
Fine tuning maybe more because you have more opportunity to do it than you would maybe have over a race weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely fine tuning on very minuscule little things between, sets of tires. So,
Have you noticed a difference in the way you drive during the races since you started being a test driver in terms of your approach, or?
I think that not necessarily maybe my approach, but I just think, I guess, more from like an analytic side in some ways. Just because of my job, I've had to learn a lot more of kind of like engineering side of things in a way, like using engineering terms. Because I work with a lot of engineers in my job when I like give back test reports and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely helped because there's always, I feel like, kind of a language barrier in some terms between drivers and engineers. It's just very different language. So I think that's been really helpful, is kind of learning more of the engineering terms and that side of things of it.
A bit better then.
Yeah.
So then, I was going to say, you've been talking about from test driving to racing now, but is there something that you've learned from motorsport that's helped you in your life outside of it?
Yeah. I mean, I think racing and just all sports in general have taught me a lot about life and how to deal with certain situations. I think it's definitely taught me how to work hard and, how to face difficulties in everyday life. So yeah, I think there's many ways that it has taught me a lot.
What is the biggest challenge you found in your motorsport career so far?
I think for me, I mean, there's definitely a lot of challenges, but I think a big one that most race car drivers always face is kind of just the uncertainty of whether you'll have a seat in a car the following year. I think that's probably been one of the biggest, just finding funding and making sure everything's set for the next year, which usually comes down to, last minute type things. But yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but does maybe having the test driver position and being able to, as you say earlier, kind of perfect and hone some skills more in that area and make things flow better, do you think that makes you look more attractive to potential teams that are looking for a driver and give you an edge over other people, or am I just talking?
Yeah, I definitely think it would be, like a positive thing from a team's perspective. And plus, like with my job, I think I also learn a lot about the industry, and plus I make connections with like a lot of OEM suppliers and, manufacturers. So I think there definitely is like a benefit from a team's perspective.
So then what's a fun racing related story that you can tell?
Oh yeah, this one I wasn't too sure. I don't know if I have a specific story, but I guess kind of just probably one of my favorite parts about racing is just kind of the people I've met. I've met a lot of very interesting people, a lot of really great people, and people who have become like family to me. So,
have you had any of those kind of pinch yourself moments about what am I doing in this room with these people, or how did I end up here, or?
Yeah, sometimes it's like people. Yeah, I've definitely had moments like that where it's like you're around people, or they'll say nice things about you, and you're just kind of like, wow, this person who's gone and done all these amazing things like thinks highly of me, which is definitely like a pinch myself kind of moment for sure.
And what are your racing plans for the future? And would you like to try any other forms of motorsport in the future?
My plans for next year, again, kind of like we were saying, still very up in the air, not really sure what's happening for next year. But I definitely would, open wheel. I would for sure like to race IndyCar. I think that's kind of a dream of mine.
I can see the smile spreading across the face there, just thinking about it. So.
Yeah, I would definitely love to race IndyCar. I think that's for sure a dream of mine. So
IndyCar, anyone watching from that world, give her a call. Worth a try.
Yeah, I'm available.
So then a few fun questions to finish off. Do you have any guilty pleasures?
For this one, I'm gonna say I'm kind of a foodie. I love food. So I just kind of said probably eating ice cream. Probably one of my favorite foods. So
you got a favorite flavor?
Mint chip maybe.
That's a good choice. All right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with that.
Then what would be the first few things you would try if you found out that you were completely impervious to physical harm?
Base jumping. I think most people are kind of insane, but I think it's such a cool thing. But it's so dangerous. So if it wasn't, I think that's for sure something I would try.
No, I can see why you would choose that one it doesn't matter if this goes wrong.
Yeah, because I feel like, there's so much that can go wrong and kind of does in that sport. So
Do you ever wonder about that? I think with racing drivers, you see that side of things with base jumping is very dangerous, but then what you're doing as well is quite dangerous. Do you ever think about that side of it, or is it just put in a box and just you don't really think about it?
I think I kind of put it in a box in a lot of ways of just kind of the back of my head. I feel like there's moments though when you're at the track and like maybe somebody else has like a pretty bad crash, and then you kind of have those moments where you kind of think about it for a second and you're like, that's, you kind of realize that it is a reality. But I think for the most part, I do kind of just not fully really think about those types of things.
I just always find it interesting with racing drivers because you can you see another sport and think, oh, that's far too dangerous. I'll never do that. And then it's like, you're
yeah, a bit ironic.
Yeah. Then we'll try and bring it back up again on the last one then. If you could body swap with any person for 24 hours, who would you choose?
I think I would say probably someone in F1, maybe like Lando Norris. I don't know. He's a funny kid and a really good driver. So I would for sure like to.
If you could tell the difference between how he acts for the 24 hours that you've got him.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool to get to drive a Formula One car. So
definitely. IndyCar and F1, why not? Anyone?
Yeah, why not?
She's an excellent test driver. I'd rather go.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I want to wish you best of luck for the rest of 21 and for everything else moving forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You as well.
It was great to chat with Hannah and learning more about an area of motorsport that before this chat I didn't know a great deal about, to be perfectly honest. I want to thank Hannah again for coming onto the show and wish her the best of luck for the rest of 2021 and beyond. Join me again soon when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other videos on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. Away from YouTube, you can find me over on DriveTribe, and feel free to follow me on Instagram at t.albers.daily.drivetribe. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.